Paid marketing is like getting the perfect eyeballs with your perfect content. You just have to pay for it. The better the eyeballs and the better the content, the more you have to pay for it. Even if you're a big creator, if you're pulling in 5 figures a month from your creator business, even 6 figures, start small so you can build up. It's a momentum game. Or if you work in marketing thousands of times, you eventually will arrive at a good ad that converts. There's obviously a lot more that goes into what is a good ad. So it really doesn't matter what size your business is, what scale you're looking at, your risk levels. You just cater it to your business. It can be amazing ROI. Definitely master a single funnel before you try to have multiple funnels. Don't try to speak to too many people on too many platforms. Choose one platform, one target audience, and get it on every single element of an ad. You're much more likely to have success.
I interviewed $192 million creators, and the interesting thing is this: there were some who played around with paid ads and they failed miserably. It didn't work. And some others, it fucking put rocket fuel on their business, and the business doubled every single month, all the way from 50 to 100 to 200 to 400 a month, and all because of paid ads. So today we're going to double click on paid ads. How does it work? What's the best thing that you should do in your creator business to unleash the power of paid marketing? And because of that, we have Ollie here on the show. Ollie is the head of performance marketing at Passion.io, and he has put 8 figures in paid ad spend over the last years on Meta. And over Black Friday, he was the biggest advertiser in Europe. So, Ollie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Matt.
Okay, real quick, what is paid marketing and how can it really impact a creator business?
Right. Well, paid marketing, obviously you guys are familiar with organic. You do it all the time. Paid marketing is like getting the perfect eyeballs with your perfect content. You just have to pay for it. And the better the eyeballs and the better the content, the more you have to pay for it. So it's a fine line where you can start to find trouble. But as long as you have the right piece of content with the right piece of messaging, it's a shortcut to the growth that might take 6 to 12 months for a creator to do organically. And why is it great for creators? It's something that can really scale quickly. Obviously, you guys know that organic takes time. You've got to reach your target audience. You have to look at what content's working, post every day. You know, organic is a crazy game. Paid can take what you're doing there and scale 100 times quicker. It's just, you got to do it carefully.
Yeah, I love that. I think one thing that I'm also seeing with some of the most successful creators is that they're actually combining organic and paid. They use organic for creating the relationship, the connection, where they have, let's say, deep content, everything is nice and sweet there. And then on the paid side, they can also do a little bit more progressive things. And, like if you use your organic content to always promote, actually people are like, okay, he's only here to promote things. But if you use paid marketing to complement that and supplement that with your organic marketing, all of a sudden it feels different. Like it's a sponsored thing. So people are like, okay, this is different. And you don't get this discredited feeling when you do organic content. So it's actually a beautiful thing to combine organic and paid. But the question I think that is interesting is, when should you actually get into it as a creator?
Yeah, good question. It's definitely not something you do day one when you're starting out. You need to have put your ducks in order, as it were. You need to have a product market fit, know who you're serving and how you're serving them. You need to have had a few clients that you've worked with or some digital products that you've sold successfully, at least to some degree, because you don't really want to use paid marketing as like a testing bed. Organic's great for testing. Paid's a very expensive way of testing. So once you've got past the first couple of steps in your business and you've got some revenue in the door, some clients, and the key factor here is some social proof, right? You've had some good testimonials and you had some good trust built in your niche or in your community, then you could start thinking about paid ads. And there are many, many layers to it, which I'm sure we're going to get into in this chat. But yeah, essentially it's definitely step 2, 3, or 4 in your business, but not step 1.
What are the most common mistakes that creators are making when they start with paid marketing? I hear some people saying that, hey, I'm really scared. I put $1,000 down and then I'm not getting anything in return. And I see how the money is spent, but I'm not getting anything. And like, should I switch it off? And am I doing this all wrong? So people just freak out to spend money. And it's a very different mindset than with organic or content marketing, where you can produce as much content as you want and there's no cost against it. So what are the most common mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to get into here, so I'll try and break it down in a logical sequence. I think the first one you kind of flagged there is they might say, hey, I'm willing to spend $1,000 on paid ads, and then they set it up kind of with a random approach, just that they're not really thinking strategically on what's the best way to get ROI on that $1,000. So then they put a few things live, they spend that $1,000, and there's no ROI for it. There's literally no results, not a single client. They then think, oh crap, paid marketing doesn't work for me. I'll turn it off and I'll go back to what I'm comfortable with. I'll go back and do organic. The key is to start small, I would say. No matter, even if you're a big creator, even if you're pulling in 5 figures a month from your creator business, even 6 figures, start small so you can build up. It's a momentum game. And one example, you can literally start with $10 a day. It just needs to fit your funnel and what you're trying to ask the clickers, the clicks to do. So say you have a high ticket course and you want to get people on the phone because you're going to close them over the phone because it's high ticket. You can literally start with $10 a day and you're trying to get 1 call booked a day. And then you do that for, let's say, 5 days, you spend $50 and you can see, did I get a call booked a day? If I did they show up? If they showed up, were they decent leads that I could maybe close over the phone? And that way you can then go into the following week, make some tweaks based on what you've seen and try it again. And so over those 2 weeks, you've only spent $100, but you've got a ton of data. You know what to do next. You know how to pivot and how to change the plan. You haven't spent $1,000 in 1 week and gone, it's not for me.
I love that. I think something to share here, if you put down $10 a day, you get 1 call booked in. The question is that good or is that bad? And the answer is, it depends, because if your offer, let's say, is $10,000 and you convert 10% of calls that you do, right? That means that a call costs you $10 and every 10th call converts. So that means it's $100 to get a conversion. Anything north of $100 per conversion is going to be a really good ROI. That means what you invested is less than what you earned. You want to look for, depends on what you're after, 2x, 3x, 4x, we can talk about it, return. So that means if your offer is $500, you pay $100. Actually, it's pretty good and you can scale it. What do you think of that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's called ROAS, right? That's our magic word. Return on ad spend. And it depends on your business. If you're running an e-commerce business, you need to operate at 3 to 4 ROAS because you have shipping costs, you have, logistic costs. If you're just doing a coaching, maybe you just want to break even because you know that they're going to pay you each and every month for your coaching package. The key is, as you just said, whatever key action you're trying to get them to drive, as long as you know that that's worth more for your business than you paid the channel, be it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, then you're good. It's that magic line of that break-even mark where you get a customer for break-even. That's okay, obviously, but above that magic line is where the scale happens and the growth happens, because then it compounds as well. Especially if these are subscription customers, not one-off big offers, which is also great because, as you mentioned, call booking can be very cheap. But if it's subscription, you get 10 customers, they're paying you each and every month. So that profit is actually growing each month. And on the issue of it depends on your business, I always love, so I've got we got experience in Passion of spending $1 million a month, $2 million a month nearly. We've spent 8 figures, but I've also seen it at completely the opposite end of the spectrum, where for a buddy of mine, he was retiring to Cornwall and he wanted some dog walking clients. And so we just spent $100 on a little simple image ad, a little bit of copy, and be connected to his WhatsApp. And for those $100, we got 14 clients on the phone. Actually, sorry, we got 20 clients on the phone, and he closed 14 of them. Those 14 clients, this was a little over a year ago, he walks their dogs multiple times a week for $20, right? So we're talking 5 figures in lifetime value from a simple image with a simple copy to his WhatsApp from $100 spent. He's made 5 figures in lifetime value. So it really doesn't matter what size your business is, what scale you're looking at, your risk levels. You just cater it to your business, and it can be amazing ROI.
Right. What funnel is then the best one for creators? Because quite often in organic marketing, you have your freebie offers. Hey, just like get this free PDF. You have maybe a $7 low ticket one. You have then on the back end something more higher priced. So what is the right offer that you should promote with paid marketing?
Well, I think you've outlined some of the best ones. I think it really depends on the cost of your offer. The higher the cost, the more touch points you need. And if you're going into 4 to 5 figures, you usually need to close them on the phone. You can send them to a video funnel where you have a video sales letter. That could be a webinar, a 20-minute sort of long form video where you explain your offer. That can sell for 3 figures, maybe 4 figures if it's a very good video. Or if you're selling sort of low ticket digital products, a self-serve course or a download, then you can just send them to a page which outlines what it is if your ad is good enough. So really it depends on the cost of your product. And then obviously for the next level creators to really hit 7 figures and beyond, you would have all of those. You would have your freemium, your low ticket, your mid ticket, and your high ticket. But if you're just starting out with one of those, then you would cater the funnel to that. And the higher the price, the more touch points required, including a phone call potentially.
And in paid marketing, would you promote all of these or just pick one? Or what's the best practice there?
Starting out, definitely pick one. Definitely master a single funnel before you try to have multiple funnels. Normally for creators, I think if we take the high ticket coaching example, let's say you had a 6K coaching package. What I would suggest is you have an ad that goes to a landing page, which does detail some of the offer. But instead of pitching a 6K coaching offer, because you click an ad, you see 6K, you're going to go back to scrolling TikTok or YouTube. You just pitch a conversation, a discovery call, a exploration call, where you and the lead could discuss whether or not your program could help them achieve desired outcome or remove pain point. Once they then click through to book a call, they're in your system. You have their email, you're on their calendar. Potentially you could send them SMS reminders to jump on the phone with you. And that is essentially you're paying for their contact information. Let's say it's $20, $10 to get that contact information. Even if they don't buy, you can then follow up on email with another product. So really the best way to start is a funnel where you get their contact information, like a sales funnel for a high ticket offer. And then you have options after that if you can't close them on the phone. But yeah, definitely start with one, not multiple.
That's interesting perspective. You're essentially buying contact information of your ideal client for the price of X. And the question is are these contact informations worth the money? I think what's also interesting is, you may correct me if I'm wrong, if I know exactly who my customer is and I can very easily find them, let's say on LinkedIn or so, I can just say, okay, I need exactly this person, that geography with that job title, exactly here and there. And then I can also pay there with LinkedIn in mail or whatever to reach out to them. If I trust the algorithm, which Facebook is really, really strong at, or Meta, or maybe also like other platforms, they know exactly what people are interested in because they see what they like, where they spend time on, what content they engage with, where they stop scrolling and all of that. So if it's not so easy to grasp that exact client, then the algorithm actually can be a fantastic tool to get the exact people that might be interesting for you, that you would never find on a platform like LinkedIn. And then, yeah, paying $20 for that could be really, really valuable. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. And you just touched on a couple of things there, right? One is targeting, which is definitely a huge part of this game in paid is targeting. You do think about it in organic, you're like, who am I talking to? It's even more important in paid, both on the algorithm side, when you tell the platform to look for a demographic, a geography, depends, and in your ads, that you're calling out your dream customer directly in every part of the ad, copy, headline, video, image. The other thing you touched upon was channels, and it's always an interesting one. Is like, what channel should I try paid ads on? I would break it down into a couple of different buckets. One, it always start with where is your dream customer? You can kind of break down the channels by age. TikTok is the youngest, then Instagram, then YouTube, then Facebook, and you can kind of break your channel choices down into that. Also, where is your organic content popping off? If it is, for example, it wouldn't make, if you're killing it on Instagram and dead on YouTube, it wouldn't really make much sense to launch paid ads on YouTube. You would go to Instagram. So that's kind of like the initial checklist for where you would want to start with paid ads. Where are my dream customers? And are they the right demographics that you use? For example, if you target 50-year-olds, you're much more likely to have success on Facebook than on TikTok. It's just who is using those apps. It breaks down by 18 to 25 for TikTok, 25 to 35 for Instagram. YouTube is kind of a mix, and then 40 up for Facebook. And then for targeting, you just make sure that everything in the first 3 seconds, in the headline, in the first line of the copy, everything you do can kind of scratch an itch in the brain of your dream customer. It could just be a word. You could literally call them out. If you have a product that's trying to help busy entrepreneur mums, you literally just say that in the first line: busy entrepreneur mums, here is your pain point, and here is a solution. As long as you do all of those things with a cohesive strategy, don't try to speak to too many people on too many platforms. Choose one platform, one target audience, and get it on every single element of an ad. You're much more likely to have success.
Love that. One question here, and this is interesting now because, all the creators that are in the organic marketing and are thinking about going in the direction of ads, from organic that you have to do the reps, you have to do your posts every single day, and you have to just get a lot of content out there in order to grow, improve the quality, find the right audience, and so on and so forth, right? In paid, it's not so different in the way that you're not supposed to create one ad and then launch this one ad and then hope that this one ad works. The pros are launching hundreds and thousands of ads all the time, and they are leveling their ads up all the time based on what performed best. Like in organic marketing and content marketing, it's the same thing. So with that, how do you create a banging ad?
Yeah, I mean, this is the meat of it for me. This is the most exciting part, right? So let's come back to how do you create a banging ad, because you could do a dissertation on that. The thing about doing multiple ads at once, one advantage that paid has over organic is it's not like on your feed, right? So it's not something that you stamp on your channel and feed forever. Now, what does that mean? That means you can test minute variations and be confident that it's not going to be like confusing people. So one example of how you do that, as I mentioned before, the first 3 seconds is crucial, right? Well, let's say you have a video, you're confident it's a good video, but you don't know. And so to your point, how do you test it? And how do you have confidence that it could work? You can literally just take the first 3 seconds of that video, make 5 variations into the same post. And then you put those 5 ads together as like a batch, as we call it, and they go live together. And then the algorithm is showing those 5 ads in like an algorithm soup to all of the people that you've allowed the campaign to target. And it knows which first 3 seconds is better at catching eyeballs. And then you can see in what it likes to spend on, what's getting most clicks, what's getting the most engagement video-wise. That's your best ad. So then that's the best 3 seconds that you've managed to come up with so far. And then what do? Well, then you take that first 2 seconds and put it into 5 new videos. And then you have another 5 new ads and you repeat that process. So it's like you have, imagine like a jigsaw puzzle or a mosaic. You put it live as an image, as an art, but then you can literally start pulling out one piece of the jigsaw and swap it for a better one. And then you pull out another piece of the jigsaw and swap it for a better one. And so you do this process 10, 20, 30 times, or if you work in marketing, thousands of times, you eventually will arrive at a good ad that converts. There's obviously a lot more that goes into what is a good ad. Does it have a strong hook, as I mentioned? Does it clearly call out the pain point of the dream customer? Does it then transition that into what you're offering? Does your offer come across clearly as a solution to that pain point? And then is that bridged in a funny, engaging way that doesn't feel too much like an ad? And then do you transition into a call to action that actually drives them to do what you want them to do? Those are like the buckets you always have to tick. But as long as you have that process in mind of I'm going to pull out the best part of this batch, make a new batch, then pull out the best part again, repeat in a way that you can afford, because obviously each one of these rounds will cost a bit of money, then yeah, that's pretty much the whole game.
It's super interesting. This is like an A/B test of, let's say, hooks, for example, of the beginning. You see what works best, and then you double down on that. It's the Japanese call is Kaizen. It's a continuous improvement process where you always double down on what works. And at some point, the quantity will lead to quality because you have done so much stuff that in the end, the result is just banging. Interesting. In paid is it's comparable because, for example, what you would do is you would put out, let's say, reels for 60 days. And you would also check, let's say, an inspiring one, a trending one, with trending audio, whatever, an educational one, and then maybe one with quotes, one with video, like different things, right? You do that for 60 days over and over again. Then you look for what reel got the most engagement, what had the biggest like, shares, comments, and so on. And then with the next iteration, you again want to build more of the content that got the most engagement, and you do this over and over again. So it's the same kind of thing, but a bit on steroids. So it's interesting that you can apply some of these nuggets there and learnings from organic also to paid and vice versa. So it's really interesting. Okay, perfect. So let's what's the next step then? Should we look at some ads and accounts and how to do marketing with, for example, Meta, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, well, we can jump into Meta. Meta is our specialty. We do a little bit of YouTube. So before we jump into Meta, one thing on the channels as well to consider is how good these guys are at their data collection. So one benefit to YouTube as well is YouTube is obviously Google's, and Google know what people's search is. Facebook is Instagram, it's WhatsApp, although they say they won't use WhatsApp data. So they know what most people on the planet are doing on their phone. And then, of course, there's TikTok, where maybe a lot of you guys are killing it on organic, and that will all work very well. So once you've decided your channel, you know that the algorithm is there. And so for us, it's Meta. And one thing to show first, and it's on your previous point about the volume game. I could just share my screen. I'll take a look. Here you can see this is obviously this is our job, so this is quite intense. You don't need to do this to this level, but strategic thinking, documentation around these iterative tests we mentioned. So you try a batch, you take the winner, and then you do another batch. It's not just take the winner and do another batch. You have to document which one worked well, why you think it worked well, and what are you going to bring forward with that information. And so one thing to check out here is this is only the last 2 years of Passion. That's 2023 and 2024 to date. We're at 4,500 videos. We're at and similar 4,500 images. And this is just year to date. We're at 1,600 ads. Now, that's how we do it. You don't have to go that intense, but you see, this is an ad, for example. I document the copy that goes into it. So I know the copy here is 440. The headline is 128. These are linked obviously to other areas. The image number, what page it's going to, and that gives me an ad name. And this is kind of boring, this side, but it's crucial that I've seen ad accounts where people are like, ad, another ad, and another ad. You need to really document things well, because if it does start to work for you, this is key. Because then you can say, okay, ad 50 killed it. I'm going to take ad 50 and not just make more variations of it. I'm going to put it to a different region. I'm going to try it in Canada if you're based in the States, for example. And let's then jump into specifics, I think. So this is the Meta ad account. One quick thing to mention, maybe on a side note, is the tracking of what you do. So paid marketing is fueled by tracking. These platforms need to be able to see, once people click on the link, they leave the app, right? And they go to your website, your Book a Call page, whatever it might be. You need to make sure the platform knows where they've landed. And so you would put a piece of code, the pixel, in the back end of your web page or wherever you're sending them. And then these platforms can follow their behavior through and send some information back. So just as an example, let's take this USA campaign. And I will try and zoom in if it will let me. Yeah. So on this, this is a campaign, top of funnel, TOF, top of funnel. That means to audiences that may not be familiar with our brand. Middle of funnel will be people who are aware but not convinced to buy yet. Bottom of funnel are those who just need that final little push. And this one is to the USA. It's in a type of campaign, Advantage Shopping Plus, which is the new AI-driven stuff that Meta is a big fan of. And you can see that this is a small spender. It's only $400. You see, we spend 8 figures and we still have campaigns spending $50 to $100. So you can cover all the different scales here. We also have some much bigger ones down here spending 5 figures a week. And this got us a customer for €400, so $450. It cost us $44 for the CPM. That means how much does it cost you to get 1,000 eyeballs? And that means we got 1,000 eyeballs and 1 purchase. So that's a pretty good conversion rate for an expensive product, as it were. Cost per lead, how much did it cost us for that contact information we mentioned earlier? And it got us 12 leads. And then you can get into the really interesting stuff. Click-through rate of those 1,000 people that saw the ad, how many clicked? This is actually quite a low percentage. You would hope for 1% and above normally. How much did it cost us to get that click, given all of the previous costs? And then one of our favorite things to talk about here are these video metrics. So we run images, but it's mostly videos. That images do well in certain contexts, but videos are what people are consuming on the internet, right? So if you want to get in front of them in a way that they're enjoying these apps, it's normally videos. And the hook rate is that 3-second thing we mentioned earlier. Of those 1,000 eyeballs that we paid $45 for, how many of them stopped scrolling because that 3 seconds was so engaging and called them out as our dream customers? We have pretty high standards here. We obsess over the hook rate. So 30% is our minimum in-house. 50% is like world-class. And so we have here a campaign with 50%, but most of them are more reasonably in the 30s. This one doesn't count because we're telling Facebook just to get video views. But here you can see this is obviously the other stuff is interesting, how much we're paying for customers and stuff. But this is actually where we spend a lot of our time, is looking at what is the hook rate doing and then how does that retention hold throughout the rest of the video. And we can jump in here to see this all in much more detail. So you can actually jump in, same as YouTube, same as organic channels, right? And break the video down into its component parts. And this is that hook rate we mentioned. So we lose however many people in the beginning of the video. And then you're really just trying to maximize the shape of this graph. Because the more people engage with your video, even if they're not dream customers, the more the algorithm thinks this is like a banging organic post. If you create an ad so good, these algorithms forget their ads because people are engaging with them as organic posts. And that just makes it much, much, much cheaper for us to push it further and further. And the more you push it, the more dream customers will see it. And so, yeah, this is like what we're looking at. Ad comments are a huge thing. Always make sure you're looking at your ad comments, the good and the bad ones, and replying to both. That again, more engagement, more shares, all good for what we want to do here. And
do you have a nugget there real quick? Because, many of them are solopreneurs and they have like a gazillion priorities. So creating all these ads, then apparently there's campaigns, ad sets, ads, right? You have to set that up as well. Then you go out with these ads. Then there's comments. You have to react to these comments. Just real quick, like what's someone that is starting out on that and he's like, oh no, I also need to comment on all these comments. What's the hack here, or what's the secret to do this effectively?
Yeah, good question. So what we just looked at was a 8-figure company's ad account. It's a little bit more complex than maybe a solopreneur or creator needs it to be. This is the ad account for the friend I mentioned earlier. I just set this up for him literally in a day. I did a day for him. I took some of his photos, wrote some copy, and set this up. And as you can see, some of these are just tests. You don't really need to worry about them. We basically just had this one main campaign here. So we created a campaign, and in that, we had 2 different ad sets. One is focusing on proof. That means the social proof. So customers that are saying he's a great dog walker or a great dog trainer. And hero is you, the creator, right? So it was a bit more about him. And then it was the town in a 30-kilometer, 20-mile radius. So really, you just need one campaign, 1 or 2 ad sets. And then in here, it was just a very simple ad. And so it was just a picture of him and his dogs and a few bits of copy. And once this started running, he started getting some DMs and some comments under the ads, but it was very manageable, right? It was 20 minutes a day. He would check in, he would reply to a few of the DMs. And because this was spending $5 a day, so $10 a day between the 2 of them, it's a very manageable risk level that he could just leave it running, do 10, 20 minutes a day to check in, see how it's going, pivot if necessary. Let's say neither of these were getting calls, he would just try another batch. And then you can see in this way, it's a lot more manageable than what I showed earlier. And I truly believe that this works for any level of scale and any level of complexity. You just adjust the risk and the spend and the time you put into it. So you could do the exact same thing as I described earlier. It just, instead of thousands of ads, maybe 10 ads.
What happened actually in the course of setting this up in a few days? What happened after launching? And then if you would not have done it, but he would have done it, what would he have done differently? So what are like the things that you as an expert are doing differently then?
Yeah, great question, because it's something to flag about mindset, right? Because at the time, he didn't have too much spare cash, right? So this was a bit of a risk for him. And so me, on the other hand, I was quite comfortable that it would all work out. But we got 3 days in and he didn't have any calls booked. So that's $30 for him, which at the time was starting to feel a little bit like $30 for no return. And I told him we'd need to let this run for 2 weeks. So he's already thinking like $150 down the drain. Where I came in, aside from just setting this up in the first place, was maybe just the mindset thing of trust me, we will do this, we will do the steps needed to do this right, and you will make that back times 10 minimum. So I think pushing him to leave the ads on was the best thing I helped him with. And then day 4, he got a DM finally on WhatsApp. I'm interested. Can I book a call? He's good on the phone. Close that client instantly. That then paid. That was two walks a week, $20. So that's $40. He'd already paid for all the ads so far. And the ads now have a bit of data, right? The algorithm had picked up who are the kind of people that are going to click the ad and book a call with him. Then it was like 2 the next day, 4 by the weekend. And yeah, within the 2 weeks, he'd had 20 calls booked, as mentioned. So that's where I think it's the key thing now, and it helps to really think about that from the beginning. So as I mentioned earlier, you can't just say I've got $1,000, spend it. You have to have some milestones in place, be that weekly, daily, monthly, whatever is suitable for your business and your capacity, how much time you have, where you can just check in, see what's happening, adjust, and as long as it's sort of small enough that it's like a little bit like gambling, only risk what you can afford to lose. And as long as you're at that level and thinking strategically about how you're placing those bets, they're very, very, very likely to pay off.
Awesome. And this ad that he has launched, is that a video ad, an image ad?
Image ads. The secret to image ads is geography. So because this was just in his town, it's very instantly relatable that this is an image of the local cliff and the local park. So people knew it and people responded to it. In his case, videos actually didn't work as well. But again, you would do both. You would always test. So you would have, say you're starting out, you would do that batch we mentioned earlier, 5 videos, the same video, but with different intros. And then you would maybe do 4 or 5 images that are all completely different. And you would put those both live, separate ad sets, and then give it a few days and start to see what the numbers say.
Got it. Let's look at some of our ads.
Look at our ads. Let's do it. Would you like to look at the ad or the video themselves?
Maybe if you could share 2 ads, and then we make a bet which one performed better, and then you tell us which one performed better.
Cool. So I pulled up some ads earlier. This is one of our newer ads that we worked with a very skilled editor on. And let's take a look at the first 15 seconds, which is where all the magic happens. Hopefully you can hear it.
Why is it so hard for coaches to grow their businesses? You get more clients, then you get more work than you can handle. This creates a glass ceiling on your income.
Kind of at rock bottom here, so now would be the good time to actually.
And then we move into customer testimonials there. So it's very sort of it's a very bold statement. It's a very bold statement, and it's very classy typography. However, this isn't really what we would call native to the feed, right? As soon as you hit this, you're going to see, oh, this is an ad. Whereas something maybe a bit more fun.
Bad news, no one's watching my online course. It's because online courses are boring. I told you before, only 6 out of 100 people finish them. So what now? Ditch the online course, get your own app.
As a coach, how do you take what you do in person and put...
And so, yeah, these are 2 examples of ads that you might run. One where you're trying to be quite native, seem like a bit of a meme. One where maybe you're trying to make a little cinema movie trailer and put a lot of time and energy into it looking professional.
Okay, let me make a wild guess. The second one, I loved the organic intro. It felt like very, very native, like what I usually have in my feed. But then when it switched to the company, I was saw this logo, and then I saw a little bit of stock images, and I was let me swipe, right? That would have been my reaction at this point there. Yeah, exactly. It was this there I would have swiped. So I think the hook rate, how do you call it? The hook rate. The hook rate is on this one is likely good. Hook retention, I'm not so sure. On the first one, you see immediately that it's an ad, so likely hook rate, I would likely think it's slower, but hook retention is better than with the other one. And how to translate into sales or into overall numbers, I have no clue. I would have to toss a coin.
Yeah, you spot on everything. It's kind of scary. With a few exceptions, you can pretty much predict revenue based on hook rate. So your instinct that the one with the native organic feeling hook would be more successful is correct. And going back to our process earlier, right? What do you think we did as the next step after these two tests?
You switched the content of the ad to something also which is more organic, and you kept the hook.
Yep. Well, we did that anyway, but we also took this whole video just straight away as it is with this hook, and it became a winner.
Oh, that's smart.
Because this hook is eye-catching and native, but it's surprising how sticky people can be once you've engaged them for 10, 15 seconds. And yeah, you're going to lose 50%, but the 40, 30, right. 20% that stay till the end are going to be hyper engaged because that hook was so good. And not just about being native and feeling like a meme and a bit of fun. It's a meme and native directly addressing the target audience and their pain points. Yeah. People are not buying your online course. Why? Well, here's a reason why. People don't finish online courses. This is one of our core messages in our marketing, but it did it in a funny, engaging, native way and in 8 seconds or something.
It's interesting how this is so comparable to also even like long form YouTube content, right? Where you need to have a strong thumbnail, then the first seconds have to deliver on that, and then people have to get into, okay, I'm going to, like, they have to make the decision, I'm going to watch this, which can in YouTube's case be 1.5 hours of video, right? Or 1 hour. So the moment when they click that full screen button, that's when like retention goes really up, because before they see the suggested videos on the sides, they have other tabs open, there is a gazillion distractions. So until that moment when I hit the full screen button, you have to like nail your game. Like that's where you spend all the effort. And once the full screen button has been clicked, then you know, like, okay, now like they're in the zone, in the flow, and they will very likely unless you completely screw up, they will follow through until the very end. Reminded me a bit of that here, right? Where just the hook, the beginning is so super important, and then I mean, still is important than to keep the retention up. But if you delivered well on the first seconds, then the rest will follow.
Yeah, exactly. I do. There's so much to learn going back and forth. They're not different universes. There's a huge overlap between paid and organic. I would just say, because organic, people are either scrolling or searching for you with intent or for a topic with intent. You have a bit more time to deliver your message, get your hook in, get what you're trying to deliver across. With paid, it's all the same principles, just on nitrous, right? You just have, because they're scrolling, you only have a few seconds to do all of those things. So same idea, just a lot less time to do it.
Yeah. I would add to that, like our TikTok coach would say that even with organic, you have, it's like the very first split second, if that's an M and U, more like not coming straight to the point, if you don't cut out the pauses, if you don't like make it value, in every split second of like on the frame level, then people are going to like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah.
They go to the next one.
I think TikTok and what you described, it is almost indistinguishable from paid, right? It's frame by frame. Can you keep their attention? And if you can't, the only difference on paid is you've wasted money.
Yep. Yeah, on organic you waste time. Which is funny. Okay, great. So this was awesome. Thank you so much, Oli, for doing that. If you guys have any questions, and we can do deep dives on that, so just let us know what's your biggest question in the comments below. If you like the content, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.